Do I want to go out
Oh
with a
my
lion's
God.
roar?
Oh,
Ah!
I mean,
All right, guys, welcome back to another exciting episode of TNT Podcast. I'm your host, T.
Tasha.
And today we're going to be talking about censorship, especially when it comes to music. And what I wanted to focus this conversation around is the Filthy 15.
What's that?
Now, the Filthy 15 is a group of 15 artists, 15 songs that the PMRC, let me see. That is
the PMRC?
The PMRC is the Parents Music Resource Center.
The
So this was actually, listen.
Parents?
Yes, so parents. So this was put together by Al Gore's wife, Tipper Gore, as well as I think it was 3 or 4 other. They called them political wives. They were wives of other political figures in the 80s. And apparently they got together and they said, this music is filthy and we don't want our kids listening to it. And so they formed this group, the PMRC, and they decided to ban or give parents warnings of the music that was out there. Actually, when we were growing up, we used to see the label on the CDs that would say parental advisory.
Yeah.
That's where it came from.
Well, I actually think that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You should have control over what your children listen to. I mean, at first it sounded crazy.
Yeah, it does. It does sound crazy.
crazy.
Well, you know what? It sounds crazy because this is America. It's the land of the free, home of the brave. You have First Amendment rights.
Hide your kids.
Yeah, exactly. But
Hide your
as we all know that you can't say and you can't do whatever you want.
I mean,
there are limitations
but there should be
to it.
Warnings.
But right, yes, there should be warnings,
and that's where they come in.
But also, the game changes when children are involved.
Definitely.
And so that's where the Parents Music Resource Group steps in. Now,
where are they now?
Well, it was disbanded. So it was disbanded, and I guess something else replaced it. But what I want to do right now is I want to check out some of the songs that they actually included in the Filthy 15, and I wanted to kind of compare them to what we actually consider I guess nasty now, because we have artists like Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B or some hip hop or rock songs that are out right now that are truly filthy and nasty. But if we go back in time and listen to some of the music back in the 80s that they deemed that was deemed worthy of censorship, I kind of want to look at it through our eyes and see if it's really worth.
We have been desensitized. Our desensitized brains
really?
and eyes, yes, because I don't think people realize that from the music and the TV and the music, I had to say that twice, and the movies, that we are flooded with these images to where
ooh, yes,
you don't
exactly.
even realize how bad it is. And so when you watch the news or you hear something bad happening, you don't have the same reaction that you might have had 10, 15, or 20 years ago because of the desensitization.
Okay,
Is that even a word? But the filthy, it's called Filthy 15. It has a little nice ring to it.
Yeah, well, they probably wanted to make it catchy and make it roll off the tongues of parents. So they could say, don't listen to this artist. They're part of the Filthy 15.
But the thing is, even Cardi B, she was on a live once and she was having her music play. Her daughter came in the room and she turned it off.
Oh, okay.
So even Cardi B doesn't allow her children
to listen to her music. Okay, that's understandable.
It really baffles me when sometimes you'll see on Instagram or TikTok and these kids rapping these lyrics. And you're like, oh my gosh, and they don't know what they're talking about. Right. But even these same artists they protect their kids from their music.
Yeah, well, that's a parent's job, because ultimately you can't rely on the schools, you can't rely on the government, you can't rely on other people to raise your kids. As a parent, I believe you should actually raise your children.
Right, protect them.
Yes, absolutely. So before we jump into this list really quick, were there any artists that you grew up listening to that you weren't allowed to listen to, or you knew that, maybe this is a little too risque for me?
So, whether I was in the car with my mom or at home, if I was able to escape to a friend's house or somewhere where other people were allowed to listen to it, or even, you know, family members that didn't care.
Okay.
So I remember Adina Howard.
Okay. Freak Like Me.
Let me lay it on the line. I got a little freakiness inside.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know what the song really was about. And then you had Kaya.
My neck, my back, lick my
neck and my back.
Yeah, right.
Little Kim. Oh my God. Now I definitely
allowed
to listen to Little Kim.
I remember as a kid when Little Kim came out, she had this album cover and it was called Hardcore.
Oh my God! Just the picture on the cover.
It had her whole snatch hanging out.
Porno.
Yeah.
I was like,
all right, so now I see what you're saying. As far as we've been desensitized over the years to be accepting of certain images and certain things that we hear, so that now it's not really a big deal.
It's like no big deal.
Right. All right, so this is what I want to do. We're gonna go ahead and check out these songs really quick. Okay. We're not gonna play the songs on the video. We might go over some of the lyrics, but of course, if you want to see the full reactions to these songs, check us out on Patreon. It'll be over there. All right. So the first song we have on our list, this is going to be "Shebop" by Cyndi Lauper. Shebop. Yes.
Okay. I mean, it's Cyndi Lauper. How can she had girls just want to have fun?
Yeah, exactly.
So she was on the list?
Yeah, she was on the list for Filthy 15. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
What year was this?
All right, so Shebop, it made the list. It came out in 1983.
Never heard of it.
All right, let's go.
Everybody.
Yeah. So this is really good.
This was not bad at all.
Yeah.
It's suggestive.
Yeah.
But if you are singing the song, you could completely miss what bopping is. Because she didn't just outright say what bopping was.
What is bopping?
Doing the deed.
Doing the deed.
Sex, babe. Come on.
This wasn't.
Why you make me say it?
Censorship.
Yeah, but if Tipper Gore only knew. Yeah. I mean, what was going to come.
Right. Oh, yeah, exactly.
But maybe she had an idea, and that's why she created the Filthy 15 in hopes of it not going in the direction that it did.
Right.
But I would be interested to see what she thinks about it now, because it wouldn't be a list of 15. It would be a list of thousands.
Thousands. And so with this song, I thought it was very fun. It was a bop. And I can see how kids or young people would listen to this, and it would just go over their head. They wouldn't get anything that she's saying. But essentially, when you do look at the lyrics are very suggestive, and it's about masturbation. So that was very.
Oh, I didn't get that. See, it went over my head, but now that you said it.
Yeah.
So because she had the magazine.
Yeah.
To Beefcake, but I was thinking they bopping with each other.
No.
See,
all right. So, and this is me, because my mind is like.
It automatically. Goes there.
Yeah. Exactly. In the first verse, she says, "Well, I see him every night in tight blue jeans in the pages of Blue Boy magazine. Hey, I've been thinking of a new sensation. I'm picking up good vibrations."
And then
it
she
says,
"She
bop." Right? Yeah. Do I want to go out with a lion's roar?
Oh. I mean.
Yeah, I want to go south.
You so loud, Jesus, my ears.
I want to go south and give me some more. Hey, they say that a stitch in time saves 9. They say I better stop or I'll go blind.
Oh.
Shebop.
Wow. Okay, babe. Enough.
So this is still tame.
Yeah,
this is still very tame compared to what we have right now.
Oh, so what's the comparison of
because
now?
The comparison we have is something like
I hate this
Sexy
song.
Red's Pound Town.
I'm out of town, thugging with my round. My
coochie pink, my booty hole brown.
So, essentially, the PMRC, they were kind of right.
Kind of.
Yeah. Because if they would have continued on, we probably wouldn't have had songs like
She don't
Pound
have
Town.
any underwear on. Her butt is all the way out.
Yeah.
I'm-
So it's musical and it's visual as well. Because
oh my God.
could you imagine them playing this in the 80s?
Babe, if they did, we would be too far. I mean,
we would be so far gone. Our
Yeah.
society would be so far gone. So the next song,
You know what I think about though? Every time I see some crazy stuff like this, what would Martin Luther King think? What would he say?
oh man, Martin Luther King, he would, I don't know, he roll in his grave.
Ugh.
But then again, I don't know. This is kind of like what he fought for, you know, equal
Ooh.
rights.
Shame.
I mean,
I don't think he fought for this.
well, I mean, shit, you
I don't
know.
think our
This is-
ancestors died for this.
Well, this is the American dream.
Babe, be serious.
All right.
Be serious.
But anyway, we're gonna keep things going. The next artist I want to check out is Darling Nikki, or I'm sorry, the next artist I want to check out is Prince, and the song is called Darling Nikki. Now, with Prince, we never really got into Prince's music growing up.
I wonder why.
And one of the main reasons for that was, I remember my parents, they were fans of Prince, and whenever Prince was mentioned or Prince music or a song, it was always suggested that Prince was adult music and that we couldn't listen to it. And so that's why us, as well as other reactors, have done Prince's music. And then people are like, I can't believe you never listened to his music. And that's the reason why. In a lot of households, children weren't allowed to listen to Prince's music. And we're about to find out why. Because he was on the Filthy 15, but he also had two other artists who he wrote songs for, which was Sheila Easton. Vanity and Sheila Easton. Sheila Easton, we recently did the reaction to Sugar Walls. And so
Horrible song.
it was pretty good. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into this and we'll give our thoughts.
She said, how'd you like to waste some time? And I could not resist.
What?
I've had enough.
All right, so we made it 42 seconds in for Prince's Darling Nikki, and you've already had enough. So, this is what the PMRC was banning or censoring, because they did not want children listening to this music.
I mean, I see why.
Rumor has it that.
And why would children listen to
Well,
this?
rumor has it. I'm not sure how true it is that Tipper Gore's daughter was caught listening to this song. And this is why she formed the PMRC. And it's also one of the main reasons why there's more artists that are associated with Prince that are banned on this list than anyone else.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
I mean, I don't think he cared anyway
No.
because his music wasn't for children anyway, and
Right.
he knew that.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that we all know that when adults say, hey, don't listen to this, young children, teenagers, they're going to listen to it anyway.
Right.
Because essentially that's what the PMRC, that's what the parental advisory labels turned into. With a lot of artists, it became a badge of honor. And so sometimes with certain artists, that label would generate buzz in order for you to sell records. Because now when teens seen that, it meant that, you know,
It's forbidden.
it's forbidden. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to piss my parents off. I'm going to piss off the authorities by listening to this music that has been labeled as rebellious or bad. And it's one thing for music to be bad by your parents, but then when it's labeled as being negative by the authorities, that takes it up to another level. Because then you have artists like Body Count from Ice-T with songs like Cop Killer, or you have songs by MWA.
Were they on the list?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they weren't on the Filthy 15 because they came later.
Oh, okay.
But of course, they still had that parental advisory label. And so when you have band groups like NWA that make songs like F the Police, people, there's a certain level of intrigue. And it's another thing when the president starts talking about your music, because then people turn around and say, I got to hear this. I got to see what it's all about. And essentially, I think that that's what happened with a lot of these artists on the Filthy 15. Each one of these artists have sold very well and have had successful careers in their own right.
So who else is on the list?
Well, you have Judas Priest. He had a song called Eat Me Alive. You have AC/DC, and we've listened to a lot of these artists' music, and it's pretty tame. You have Madonna. You have Motley Crue, Twisted Sister, Wasp, Def Leppard, Merciful Fate, Black Sabbath, Mary Jane Girls.
Never heard of them.
And Venom. I know you haven't heard of some of the rock bands, but
Yeah.
I'm familiar with all of these artists. And so
Prince number 1 on the list.
Prince is number 1 on the list, but the censorship ranges from sex, violence, and things with the occult. And so these were things that the PMRC deemed that wasn't valid for children to listen to because they didn't want children to be influenced.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Children shouldn't be listening to. They should allow to be children.
Right.
And so I get it. It makes sense.
Right. So essentially, the PMRC was disbanded, but the parental advisory label still stuck around. I believe there was another institution that kind of took over afterwards, but we kind of still ended up in the same basket because growing up, I knew that there was music that I shouldn't be listening to, and we mentioned Adina Howard, Lil' Kim, and some of the other hip hop artists that were out there, but we still listened to them anyway. And so it kind of seems like it didn't work.
But I think it did. I think it slowed the progression of filth.
Okay, yeah.
I think it did.
It slowed the progression of filth? You think it would be a lot worse?
Yes.
Okay.
A lot sooner.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Because when you think about the 90s and what music, because the artists we named, they came out with music in the 90s. But then going into the 2000s, it really got worse.
It exploded.
Yeah, it exploded. Up until now, to the video we just watched, and the girl, she didn't have any panties on at all. So, so at this point, I really don't know what's going to happen to the future of music, because it's art.
It's not. Sometimes it's not even music anymore. It's about, and I've said this multiple times, the shock value. It's all about the shock
Absolutely.
value. How can I piss people off?
Right.
How can I get people to talk about me? And we're just straying so far from good music.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing of it is that
you don't even need talent no more. Just show your butt.
No, you don't. And that's mainly because sex sells. And it's an old marketing tactic for as old as time.
Yeah.
Sex always sells. And so essentially you have sex being repackaged as music or a music artist, and then they're promoting it, and then it sells. It sells better. It sells better than the most talented musicians. Because essentially,
I don't think Sexy Red selling better than Celine Dion.
she's not selling. Well, let me put it like this.
All
right, I'll put it like this. If
Taylor Swift.
If Celine Dion was to release an album, Sexy Red would probably sell more albums than her.
No.
And I'll say this as well. With Beyonce probably wouldn't have sold as many albums as she has if she hadn't done songs like Bootylicious or songs that showed off her curves or doing sexy dances.
No, because back in those days, we heard the song before we seen the video.
No.
Yeah.
Back in the song came out before the video. No, by the 90s, MTV, like everybody had to have a music video.
But I'm not saying they didn't, but you heard the song on the radio in the 90s before you seen it on TV, because not everybody had cable. Everybody listened to the radio in the 90s. Now, some people might have seen the video first, but the songs always came out on the radio first and in the clubs first. And so, yeah, we knew who Beyonce was, but it wasn't because she was voluptuous that it was like, oh, I just gotta buy the CD. It's like the song is good. It was about her gaining weight and her accepting her curves. And so a lot of women could identify with that. Now, you as a man probably can't.
Yeah.
But speaking from a woman who listened to Destiny's Child, it wasn't before I seen them that, oh my gosh, I gotta buy it because bootylicious, because she curvy.
Right.
You gotta think about who the fan base is.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Fair enough.
And like even TLC, like I heard their songs on the radio first and had their CDs, and we just consume music differently. Now with somebody like Sexy Red, you of course might see their video first because of how we consume the music.
Right. Yeah.
The music consumption is very different.
Right.
And so if I would have heard Sexy Red on the radio, I would have thought it was trash. And seeing the video, it just would have tipped me off the edge.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so, and I think that's what she wants.
You're right. Yeah.
It worked.
Right. It brings that attention. I think essentially she's just taking it to another level with a format that has been in the system for a while, because in the 90s, Sexy Red would have been Kaya, My Neck, My Back.
Yeah, it wasn't like as bad.
Yeah.
You couldn't.
I don't. Kaya.
Like
well, right.
Uncle Luke, because like Uncle Luke, his stuff you couldn't even see his videos. It was like late at night or something that just would not be around. You would have to like literally search for the video. But just like I said, like the internet was new in the 90s. You had to you couldn't consume the music the way you do now. Everything is just more accessible. So
and that's the other thing as well, is that music nowadays is more accessible than it's ever been.
Right.
And so now children have access to music, to videos, anytime they want. As long as they have a phone, a tablet, or some kind of device that connects to the internet, they can get on YouTube or whatever, and they can listen to Darling Nikki, or they can listen to songs that were deemed unacceptable back then, but they can also listen to songs that are unacceptable right now.
Yeah. But you can put settings on the phone and the tablet.
Yeah, they have parental safeguards and everything, but
which is needed.
Yeah, absolutely, it is needed. But you know, as a child, where there's a will, there's a way. They'll always find.
I don't think children are gonna be searching for this. So you saying
they're not gonna be searching for this?
You're saying like where there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely.
As if they're seeking out this stuff. And
yeah.
The only reason they would be, I disagree. The only reason children would be seeking out this stuff if there's a problem at home, they've been exposed to this stuff, or other things.
When you go to school and all the kids in the school are talking about...
That's being exposed. That
right.
means those kids are being exposed to that music and other things.
Right.
And so when your kids are around, now they're being exposed.
Right. Absolutely. And that's how it works. A lot of times kids get into stuff like this because they get exposed to it, not because they're looking for it, but because maybe somebody else suggested it, or it's the popular thing nowadays. You know, they've heard about Sexy Red, or they've heard about something salacious on the internet, and it's like, ooh, let me see. Mm-hmm. You know, so they might have parental locks on their phone, but then Joey over here doesn't, and so they go talk to Joey or whoever to go view that content or listen to it.
But then you have to be a certain kind of kid to want to seek that out.
Well, I think
because you got to think about it. You might be thinking about yourself.
Yeah.
But all kids aren't like how you were.
Okay, right, fair enough. Okay. All right, guys. So let us know down below in the comment section what you think about censorship as well as the PMRC, especially if you grew up during this era. I know that there's a lot of artists on this list that you may or may not be familiar with, but let us know down below in the comment section. Do you think the PMRC did their job and that we're better off or we're worse than we've ever been. We love to hear your thoughts. As always, like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see y'all next time. Take care. Peace.